Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the My Football Writer YouTube channel. Welcome back to Nodge Spotlight. First one in a while, but we finally have some availability, or rather, I finally decided to wake up earlier than usual for once in my life. But anyway, welcome back to our somewhat weekly sort of preview and roundup show of the week gone by and the week to come for Norwich City. I'm Freddie Wakefield, and I'm joined by Will Grant. Norwich played Portsmouth on Tuesday night. They look forward to Burnley on Sunday afternoon in front of the Sky Sports cameras. But before we dive into that and everything that's happened and we look forward to happening, maybe. Will, how have you been personally? What's been going on in your life over by the Norfolk Broad?
I tell you what, mate, the Norfolk Broad weather hasn't been all too good recently, but overall, I'm well. I think, like many Norwich supporters, I am very, very behind my Christmas shopping. Extremely behind, may I add. But Freddie, it's been so long. Since I last spoke to you, you went to your first league game of the season, and secondly, you've got a new haircut. Like, what is going on? It feels like forever. How are you, more importantly?
No, I've been fine. Yeah, no, I have got a new haircut. If anyone has noticed it watching, I've completely buzzed off my hair because I'm just sick and tired of having it, really. No, I just got rid of it and decided to cut it all down, and here we are. No, and did go to Portsmouth on Tuesday night. Only fitting that the very first league game I go to all season is our one and only 0-0 draw of the season so far. And we've played what? Is it 20 matches now Norwich have played, and that's the first 0-0 draw we've had. So, yeah, I could have gone to any of the other 19 and I would have seen a goal at the very least, but no, I had to settle for 0-0. And sort of, well, that's probably the perfect place to start with, really. Tuesday night in Fratton Park. That was only a 90-minute journey for me. I mean, fair play to the Norwich fans who made the 7-hour round trip. That 1,400 nearly of them, which is phenomenal away support for a Tuesday night. That is really something. Very, very well done to all of those who actually came from Norwich. But no, a game in which was frustrating, really. I think that's how I would describe it, having been there and watching it in person. There was just a lot of there was ideas that weren't working, and when it got changed up, it sort of began to click a little bit, but just seemed to some individual decision making I thought wasn't good enough. I think that's really what sort of cost us in the game, where there were just certain moments where there was a better option of pass, or just I think I can remember there was one. I think we got a corner, it got pumped up the other end, and Jose Cordoba tried playing a back heel about 40 yards from his own goal, and he completely fluffed it up, and it set Portsmouth through. Then they got a corner, which in the space of about 15 seconds, going from having a corner to then you've got to now defend one and pile all your bodies back. There was a lot of moments like that which were just really sloppy. That's probably the best way to describe it. Just a cagey championship affair. And away from home, it's nice to get a clean sheet. It's not bad to get a point either, but I just feel as if that shouldn't be a game where Norwich should be looking at it, despite the fact it's away from home and they're not very good away from home, having only won, 2 out of 11 away matches this season. You can't look at that game and think, yeah, we'll settle for a point. 23rd in the league, we'll settle for a point. Yeah, we'll be happy with that. For me, I mean, this may be a bit this could be a little bit maybe delusional from me to say that we should win every single match regardless of who we play. But for me personally, a point away at Portsmouth, there's got to be more. I think that, albeit yes, away from home, they are still fighting a relegation battle, and Norwich, that should be a game where they should be getting all 3 points on paper. But the same could be said for QPR, really. But what do you make of that in terms of a point away at Fratton Park? To be fair, a few years ago, probably would have said that's quite a good result given how tough a crowd can be there.
Look, I think there's two narratives to this. I think if you were to look at the game in isolation, and look at the start of the season and see Portsmouth, and I think many people would say yes, Norwich should be winning there. But I also think back to that QPR game and how under par we were as a side, and I think it was very, very important to go to Portsmouth and not get beat, just because the sheer volume of fixtures that Norwich have in the next 2 weeks is crazy. So I think it's very important that we go into those games with a bit of momentum. That was my main objective for this game. For me, I wanted to go into this Portsmouth game trying to kill any negative momentum. I think it would have been more ideal if we went into the game and showed maybe our true identity more frequently during the game and not kind of play too direct. But obviously, at times there are situations in a championship where trying to kill momentum at a very important time is important, and I think that was the case on Tuesday night. Look, we've got to play Burnley and Sunderland away in our next 2 games as well, so I think it's very important that we got a point in that game just to try and get the confidence back flowing again. But I think there'll be more upheaval by the supporters if we go into that Burnley game. And the game after that, if we play in the same sort of manner to what we did against Portsmouth, I'm all for adaptability. There we go. In a few games, but when it gets to a point when you're changing your play style too regularly, then I think it's something which needs more discussion. But I think overall, in a one-off game, I wasn't overly bothered with the performance. I was more wanted to try and get into the game, out of the game with a really good point and trying to build some momentum into our home games, where I think we are a much better side at home compared to our away form.
Oh, of course we are. But that's been the story for Norwich for a year now. They are miles better playing at Carrow Road than they are away from home. I still have no idea as to why that is. I doubt many people actually do. Maybe it is just there's a mental thing for a lot of players and they really just struggle, and I don't know, it could be manifestation of negative thoughts for a lot of them, or maybe Norwich just can't deal with an away atmosphere. Maybe the players just really struggle with that. It's an interesting one because at home, of course, any team really in the world would probably play better at home with a good home crowd behind them, like Norwich do have. But away from home, it's just, even against the teams that are fighting relegation battles, Norwich just cannot seem to get anything going against them. QPR, I think there was 1 or 2 shots on target the entire match, and that was just so dire. That was probably the worst performance Norwich have put in all season. And then you have Portsmouth, where Ashley Barnes got his first start of the season, which forced Sienats out wide, who's been in all right form as of late. So that seems a weird one. Maybe it was, although Torok did say after QPR he was going to bring in personnel who he thought could deal with away matches. Barnes, you can argue, is one of them. So a lot of experience, a big sort of just he will just be a nuisance for opposition defenders. But when your game plan goes from neat, intricate, quick passing out from the back to hoofing it up to Barnes, who isn't all that tall and was falling over his own feet anytime the ball was pumped up to him, then you lose any idea you had before the game if it doesn't work, and you don't really change it throughout the first half. And then the only way you do change it is by taking Barnes off, which came, I want to say, about an hour into the game, maybe a bit later, because I was the other side of the big scoreboard at Fratton Park. So I actually had no idea what time we were in the game. But Barnes it just didn't make sense. It was, for a team whose whole identity and under a new manager want to learn playing out from the back, and they still are learning it. You go to one game and you want to play, you want to play long ball. It just doesn't. Again, it frustrates me in that aspect, because if your player doesn't win the flick on, you've given away possession so cheaply. You have just pumped it up the pitch and gone, right, here you go, have the ball back, and then we'll just rinse and repeat this cycle for 90 minutes, and there you go. And even when Norwich did finally get going, they only wanted to give the ball to Borja Sainz, which, fair enough, he is our best player. He has scored the most goals of any player in the Championship. I think he's even still top of the list for goals scored of any player in the top 4 English leagues. But there was no variety. There was no different way of trying to play. It was hoof it up to him or play it neatly, pass it down his wing, and Borja, in credit, he got away some shooting opportunities, but he kept trying to take on 3 or 4 players, and then he would either lose the ball or he'd get beyond 2, and he'd be forced to shoot, and it would be quite a weak effort because he was under pressure. Now, that's another thing, really, you can sort of touch on, where Norwich, arguably are they becoming a little bit too reliant on Sainz, and he's the man who they just look to bail anyone else out of danger and just simply use his individual quality rather than just try and integrate everyone else in this team?
Yeah, I think the game against Portsmouth, especially after Barnes came off, there was actually a few times where I felt Norwich broke through the lines and he managed to find some space. But when, for example, if it was Sorensen that would find a pass out to Marcondes, Marcondes' first thought on his mind is to play like a nice progressive pass forward, which is a much shorter distance. He decides to play like either an acrobatic pass out to the wing, which we all saw, or a long diagonal right to Sainz' path. And I don't think it's hard on this because I think Norwich, I think on paper you would look at it and by how Norwich are trying to attack at the minute. And I think the observation would be from a neutral that Norwich probably are a bit too reliant on Sainz trying to create and trying to score goals. But I think there's so much more attacking patterns which Norwich could utilise in attacking play, because you look at Cernach, he's in really, really good form. He contributed to a fantastic open player goal against Luton. And I just think there are individuals around that front line other than Sainz who are competent at playing at a very, very good speed in and around the penalty box. And I just think that Portsmouth game, the game plan felt to me, if Norwich did break through the lines, it was to try and get Sainz on the ball in a wide area. And credit to his direct marker, I think it was Terry Devlin. He was absolutely superb at nullifying him across the whole game, similarly to how I think it was Jimmy Dunn who nullified Sainz as well, albeit he could have been sent off during the game. But yeah, I don't think Norwich are over-reliant on Sainz, because I think there is personnel there that can be effective in the final third. But it feels like to me, especially in recent times, that a lot of Norwich's passing patterns in the final third, they're trying to get the ball to Sainz, and I do understand that. But I think when teams are starting to realise that, and you're doing that, I think it can make you quite one-dimensional. And I just want to see a bit more variety from Norwich at the weekend about how they can progress from the midfield third to the attacking third, because it just feels like the main idea right now is just to play through Sainz at all costs. And I think there are better players across this team who could do more than that. So yeah, I just think Norwich just against Burnley, I'd like to see a bit more variety in their attacking play, because obviously it feels like right now they're trying to pass to Sainz at all costs and trying to get him to score a goal. So hopefully against Burnley we see more variety.
Well, they'll need it, especially against a Burnley side who I believe it's 7 conceded all season. So you need variety. This is a team who simply do not concede goals. You have got to have variety, and you've got to find probably about 15 or 20 different ways in trying to break down their defence and play through them, albeit their defence and goalkeeper still rather expensive when you compare it to the rest of teams in this division. Of course, just relegated from the Premier League, did lose a lot of players, but still kept quite a good amount and core of their team. And they are, their defence and 7 goals is conceded is all you have to say. That is incredible. Under Scott Parker, they've become a really smart side in defence. And of course, with the attacking quality they still possess, they're flying in the league, getting good results, but they can just win games 1-0 quite comfortably, it seems. That's all Burnley need to do, score a goal, and the defence will take care of the rest for them. But you mentioned, Will, just a second ago about sort of playing through midfield lines and trying to, how Norwich could need to start using that to their advantage. But that relates to another ban for Kenny McLean. So there's probably arguably Norwich's best midfielder who is perfect at linking together defence and attack and playing through the lines and progressing the ball. but he's now suspended for another 3 games after Portsmouth. It was only found out at 3 p.m. on the day of the Portsmouth match that he wasn't going to play. Norwich put in an appeal. It was rejected by the FA. So, and it was for an off-the-ball incident, which is really, if anyone has seen it, I'd imagine anyone watching has seen it. It's ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. He just puts his arm out. He unfortunately hits the QPR player behind him, but he checks on him straight away, makes sure he's all right. It's nothing more than an accidental collision at best. Yet the FA decided, 3-match ban for you, and we're going to stick another game on because it's your second red card offence of the season. So no Kenny McLean for the next 3 matches. So we won't see Kenny McLean until what? The
QPR home.
New Year's Day?
QPR at home, mate.
QPR at home. Actually, the perfect game. You know what? I hope he gets sent off in that for crunching someone. No, no. I'll stay reasonable and stay level-headed. No, it was quite. It's a mental one to give a 4-match ban for. It's crazy, but then at the same time, you look at it. It may be a bit more isolation. This is before anyone sort of saw the incident. This is Kenny McLean's second 4-match suspension of the season, and this man is supposed to be Norwich City's captain. So you look at it from that standpoint, and questions should they be being asked of McLean, because to have 2 lots of 4-match suspensions when you're the captain doesn't really set the best example whatsoever. It just seems this Norwich team has got just pure PR disasters all over it. Luckily, a certain defender is no longer driving when under the influence, but Kenny McLean is, he's walking a really big tightrope if he wants to remain Norwich captain, because you've got to have a bit of discipline, even though it is a very harsh offence. What do you make of it, really?
Right, so I think his red card against Middlesbrough was deserved. But that red card, that supposed red card, which he should have got, absolute nonsense how you're going to give someone a red card about like 3 days after the game on match day, and then obviously Norwich did appeal it, but absolute nonsense, mate, because what you're doing there is as JHT actually mentioned in his press conference after the game, you're literally setting a very, very dangerous bar here, because you shouldn't be having a situation where you've got these group of people on a panel going through all these incidents. I believe it also happened to Junior Firpo as well, of Leeds against QPR as well, actually. So that's quite an ironic situation there as well. But what I will say about it is, I think if you're giving red cards for that 3 days later, it's just shambolic, mate, because you're getting into a very, very dangerous territory where you're refereeing games 2 days before, and that is not what football is about whatsoever. It's utterly bonkers, mate. I could have sworn there, so luckily I used the word bonkers. But yeah, mate, honestly, I was speechless when I saw it come through, because obviously I was there as well, and I had absolutely no recollection of what incident it could have been. So I was very surprised to see that first up as well. But the thing is as well, which I find ironic, is Jimmy Dunn did something similar to Borja Sainz, and there was absolutely no action there. Not even a yellow card, which was absolutely bonkers as well. So, look, mate, very, very dangerous if you're going to start refereeing games 3 days later after the game. Utter woke nonsense.
Yeah, I can't really put it any better myself. No, and what even I liked from Torup, he said after the Portsmouth game, was he is now going to sit back and watch every single championship game, and he will identify all of those incidents where something like that is happening, and he'll put it forward, which, fair enough. It seems like Torup has got a really good sort of relationship with referees. He always seems to be quite on it, and he's always honest, and he always talks about you have to be kind to match officials and whatnot. But I'm amazed he can be after some stuff like that. No, as you said, it's bonkers to start to look at a game 2 days or 3 days later and then decide, I think he's hit him in the face there. Yeah, 3-match ban. It's crazy. And then for Norwich not to know until 4 hours until their match kicks off. when McLean, when he's on the team bus, he's ready to go. Norwich were going to play him and start him, and then 4 hours before kickoff, I can't start anymore. What are we going to do? And then Nunez comes into the fray, and his first start back from injury, and Norwich try and sort of integrate that, or his second start from injury rather. He did play against QPR, so yeah. But no, it's mental. It's just mental. I can't go on for too long, otherwise it will take up far too much time. But no, and as you said, I completely agree. You're setting a very dangerous bar, because if that can happen in one game, it happens in any game. Players give people a bit off the ball, and they could be a bit naughty. But if you're saying that is a genuine red card offence, and then there's something which, again, you said similar on Sainz from Dunn, then you surely, if that is what you are setting the bar at, you give a red card for that as well, and you go, right, you have a 3-match suspension, and that's the thing, because now anytime that happens in a Norwich game, everyone is going to go, well, why didn't he get a red card? Why aren't the FA looking into this? And it's just going to create just a needless amount of arguments and all these points that are going to come up. But it's fair to raise them, because if it happens to our player, that should happen to every player in the league who does it. So, no, the referees have not helped themselves there whatsoever, and it's just ridiculous. It's a complete joke. But no, we'll get back to the Burnley game. We touched about how good they are defensively and how good they can be in attack, but we'll look at it sort of from a Norwich standpoint as well. A bit of a predicted 11 from the pair of us. We haven't actually told each other what we go with, so this will be a very much for when we're recording it. It will be very much a live reaction from the pair of us as to what teams we would go with. But Will, I've sort of, I sort of lightly touched on this Burnley team under Parker and what they possess threat-wise. But what do you make of this side under now the management of Scott Parker? And they seem a really tough nut to crack.
Well, I think the first thing to say about Burnley is that I wouldn't buy a season ticket there, because they are a very, very uninspiring team in attack, I would say. They're ranked 18th for XG in the league, which, if you're going to be a top 2 candidate, then that is pretty below par. And they've also ranked 16th for most shots on target from the league as well. So they aren't a side which are going to bombard you with shots, and it's going to be a pig in the middle game for 90 minutes. Definitely won't be that for sure. But I think if you were to offer Scott Parker and any Burnley fan, if you'd rather play Derby at home or Norwich away, I think they'll say Norwich away, because the way they play and the style of throughout their team, it is very much a very much pragmatic way of playing. If you were to look at them against Leeds, I think that's a perfect demonstration of what Burnley can be in this league, like a very, very good effective unit away from home. Obviously, they beat Bristol City away as well recently as well. So they've got some confidence on the road. And I just feel like the way they play on the road, they've got such a strong defence. Obviously, the likes of Maxime Esteve, he's probably been their best player this season, I would say. Such a strong defender, so good in duels, but also very, very alert when it comes to crosses in the box as well. So I think he's been fantastic. As well as that, they've got quite a lot of fullbacks who are very, very good one-on-one. And one of those players is Bashir Humphreys. I wonder if Bashir Humphreys will play as a right-back against Norwich due to the Borja Sainz threat. Against Derby, he played at centre-half, but I just think due to Borja Sainz's threat from Norwich, I could see Scott Parker probably going with either one of Joe Worrell or John Egan next to Esteve, and then I see them probably going to try and use Humphreys out wide as a right-back. The reason why I think this is that Humphreys is superb one-on-one for a start. And I just think they want someone to try and contain Norwich's left flank. And as you spoke on earlier as well, Freddie, it feels like recently, especially the last 2 away games, a lot of Norwich's play is trying to be orchestrated around Borja's side, and they want to try and get him on the ball on the left-hand side of the box. And I think if that is the case during the game against Burnley, I think they've got the necessary personnel to adapt to that. So Norwich are going to have to be creative. And obviously, Burnley are a very, very well coached side out of possession. I see them wanted to try and set traps against Norwich in deep areas. You look at the way how Norwich play at home, very, 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 very possession-based orientated. we want to try and create openings from deep areas, try to play through the likes of Nunes, my colleagues, etc. So I can easily see Burnley just sitting in quite a congested and tight block in our attacking third. Try to kind of spring high and set traps. Obviously, we saw it against Luton. Luton pressed well against us and blocked off the gaps for somebody to play in and to get the ball away. So I think there is proof in the pudding there that Burnley can play that way in a quite a conservative manner, trying to set traps against us in high areas and trying to internalize. I think that is how Burnley are probably going to score a goal. I don't feel scared watching Burnley play in settled possession. They had quite a big problem actually as well. So they used to play in like a 3-2-5 shape on the ball at times, and they used to play their wingers so wide, both of them so wide. But what that meant was their central midfield players were so far away from the wingers, and there was just no like room to combine or no kind of distance to combine either because they were so far apart. So that made Burnley quite a poor team to watch. I look at Cullen, Brownhill, Laurent, etc., and even Hannibal Mejbri. Although all three of those are quite good and contentious midfielders, and Cullen can provide a bit of deep quality from deep. I don't think they're the type to create something out of nothing. Albeit Brownhill has scored 6 goals this season and is the top goal scorer. I'm just not too convinced that Burnley had the enough personnel to try and break down a team in a low block. And I think that is why teams like Derby, Blackburn, Preston have had success against them, because they are quite poor when they're trying to break down a team. But I think when a team wants to try and attack them, and I think that's what Norwich are going to try and do, then I think it might play into their favour, really. So, look, I'm actually quite confident into this game, actually. I think when Norwich can play well at home, I think we're a very, very, very good side. And I just think if Norwich are after a good day, then I think this could really propel our season, because I think Norwich can actually stifle Burnley. I might be a bit optimistic here, but I've just got the things where you think you're going to get a really good result. I've got a really good feeling about this Burnley game. I don't know why. I think we're going to produce one of our best performances of the season and play to a very, very good level. I know Burnley do provide a threat, and they will try and set traps, but I'm confident Norwich can bring it home the victory. And that's my predicted 11 for this game. Well, interesting. Right, Angus Gunn's in goal, surely.
Yeah.
I want to know your back four, Freddie, because mine is the same back four that started the game against Portsmouth. Are we agreed?
No, we are not agreed. Ooh. We are not agreed. I thought Jack Stacey was really poor. I think that was a really poor performance, and I don't think he should be. It sounds incredibly harsh, but just Fisher looked miles better after coming on and playing a lot less time. So Fisher is at right back for me. I would drop Stacey personally. I would keep Cordoba and Duffy in defence, and may sound a bit controversial, I wouldn't play Callum Doyle left back. I'd play Ben Cresene left back. I think it is baffling that Cresene hasn't had more game time since that Plymouth match. Thought he was amazing in that Plymouth match. It's so unfair from my standpoint that he's not gotten another start, or he's not been given more time to come onto the pitch, even as a substitute and play. It baffles me that he's not getting more game time. And it may sound very odd to not play Doyle, especially when he has been very, very good. But I think Norwich, if their game plan is to bring the game to Burnley, which I would imagine it would be, because that's the identity they want to play with, and they do that a lot more at home than they do away. You need an attack. You need your attacking fullbacks, and that's exactly what those two can offer. And Cresene, yes, it's maybe a hard game to chuck him into, but I just think, again, you need a natural left footer at left back, even though Doyle can do that. Just Doyle, I don't think he's really got the pace to play as a left back. He's not exactly the most attacking minded defender either. So I just think that for me, if Norwich are going to match their game plan and identity rather, that's what they should go for, because that will maybe help them unlock the wider areas, even if it may be a bit of a struggle.
Okay, fair enough. I think my thoughts on Cresene is that I think he's a very steady fullback, but I would also like to question in that game, although Cresene was solid, Did he have too much to do?
No, it's a very fair point to raise. No, he did, no, Norwich did. Well, of course, played Plymouth off the pitch, could have scored 10, but no, I mean, no, it's a very fair point to raise. No, maybe he didn't. Well, probably didn't have too much to do realistically in isolation because Plymouth weren't good whatsoever. But no, it's from the attacking standpoint, which Norwich will need because if they are going to break down a low defensive block who are notoriously hard to break down, you've just got to try and bomb people forward from wide areas. And yes, it may cost you on a counter attack, but they always say the best way of defense is attack. So why not? That's my mantra for this game. Just all guns blazing and just try your very hardest to break down that Burnley back line.
Right midfielders, Freddie. Do we agree on this? Nunes, Macondes, Samani.
We do agree on that. We do.
There we do. We're back. We are back.
Yeah, no, we have to agree on that. I wouldn't. You can't play Sorensen again. You can't. He's just not been. I feel for him because he's had such an injury-ridden time at Norwich. But just for some reason, when he's had this run of games, it just hasn't seemed to have worked for him, which is a real shame because I thought there was a really good versatile player in Sorensen, but I just think that lack of game time over the years is sort of catching up to him, really.
I thought it was okay against Portsmouth, to be fair. Obviously, you were there, so you can probably add more to that, but I don't think he was too bad against Portsmouth at all. I thought he was actually one of our better players, but I might be wrong. Don't shoot me. Anyway, our front three. In quick fashion, Sainz, Cernach, Forson.
It's very unlikely that he'll do it, but I disagree with it. I think Kyde Gordon, just start the boy. Why bring him in on loan and not play him? Why banish him to the under-23s to play football? He's on loan. Give him the chance. Play the kid. Just give him something because it's a wasted loan move. Maybe this is more me saying it in the regard of it's a wasted loan move rather than start a player who obviously can fit in the system like Forson can. But Gordon is a natural right winger. Play him there. Give him something. Who knows? Say he starts the game, he could have his best game of his career for all we know. Give the kid, just give him a chance. I find it bizarre that any time this side signs like a proper young player on loan from a Premier League team, this feels like Marcus Edwards all over again, despite the fact Gordon's played more games. It just makes no sense to bring in a player on loan. The whole point of a loan move is to get a player game time in a lower division so they can test themselves. He's barely done that. Gordon's probably played maybe 200 minutes in a Norwich shirt? Probably not even that. It's so bizarre that we bring in such a talented young player from a big club and we don't play him. Why? Honestly, worst thing that can happen is he plays poorly, you sub him off. Just give the kid a chance. Let him do something because, he tore up season as a bit more of a dribbler and technical player. You're probably going to need that in this game because you're going to have to try and weave round defenders and make it hard and try and cause issues for them. Why not? Honestly, why not? Give Gordon a chance. I really don't like the fact he's not had the game time. It really, really annoys me.
Yeah, I think it comes back to the point with JHT and how much he values first team training. You look at some of the scenarios and why people were asking me during that injury freak period. People were asking me, well, Will, why is no academy player stepping up? And the truth of the matter is, JHT places so much value on first team training and he wants players to be familiar with his ideas and patterns of play. And I think he wants players to perform at a very, very good level in training. And it just feels like, compared to obviously David Wagner and Dean Smith, where their team sheets were more, I'd say more expected in the sense that any first-team player that was training with the squad and was fit, they'd play. But it feels like, no, even with Fastnaps as well, it feels like there are certain players in the first team who aren't being in a matchday squad, just maybe due to their training performances. So I think that's a very, very interesting debate to have. I'm firmly in the camp that I don't think Kate Gordon has been bad for Norwich. I think he has looked promising in his cameos throughout the season. I like his Watford performance and his win at Preston as well. I thought during those two games he gives energy and a bit of dynamism as well. A bit of one-on-one threat as well, which is always important. But I think what I've gone for Forson is I just want to try and relinquish that relationship, which they both had during the West Brom game, the Plymouth game as well. I want to try and get that back into their system, because I feel like if you want to try and break down Burnley, you're going to have to need settled patterns of play and ideas about how you break down the side. And if you look at what we were saying earlier, we were trying to discuss about how Norwich could be a bit more of how Norwich can vary their play a little bit more in the middle third and the attacking third. I think one of those solutions is to play Stacey and Forson together. They both showcase their fluidity together. Obviously, Forson can tuck inside, which allows Stacey to play a bit more direct. And that has worked fantastic for Norwich throughout the season. So that is my thought process for that. But yeah, I mean, for Kate Gordon, I wouldn't be shocked if he goes back to Liverpool in January and Norwich recruit another right winger. Do you agree with that?
No, I do agree with that. And I think that is just an absolute waste. Just such a waste to bring in a player on loan and have them leave halfway through a season because they're not playing. It's such a waste of a move, and it doesn't benefit either club because, or even the player. The player's barely played. Norwich had an extra player who just they're not using, and Liverpool sent out a player to try and make them better to then have a chance of maybe getting in their first team, and it just hasn't worked. Well, no, really, unless Mo Salah and the backup and whoever Liverpool's backup right winger is both break their legs, I don't think Gordon's ever going to get in their first team. But no, it frustrates me. Really annoys me.
We chose the wrong right winger. I mean, look at Stoke. They got Kumas. He's doing brilliant. Ben Dokabara. We got the wrong one. We got the wrong one.
We got the complete wrong one. Of the three we could have got. Oh, it's very annoying. It's very annoying. Who knows, mate? Who knows? Well, we'll have to wait and see on that front. But no, I'm annoyed. But no, I agree with the thing of, he will probably go back in January and Norwich may get another loan player in from a different Premier League team. Maybe they'll look at, who knows who they might look at, or maybe they'll sign someone on a permanent deal. Maybe Morgan Whittaker will decide he wants to leave Plymouth and Norwich will play him on the wing. But who knows? Who knows? But that seems sort of an apt place to sort of sign it all off, really. Norwich looking forward to Burnley. We've got a bit of a different starting 11. Or Will wants to make a point. He's got that finger up. He wants me to stop talking.
I've got that finger up because every week you try and niggle your way out of a prediction. So I'm going for Norwich 2, Burnley 0.
Bloody hell!
Yeah, I'm feeling good about this one, Freddie. I don't know why.
No, I don't whatsoever. I really don't. Norwich 0, Burnley 3, and I think I'm being kind at that. I think I just got this horrible feeling we're going to get played off the pitch.
Thank you for watching.
I'll sound very contradictory of myself, but I think we will chuck bodies forward trying to get goals, and I reckon we'll probably look good doing so, and we'll come close. But in the end, we'll just get caught out, and it'll be a bloodbath, and Burnley will just destroy us. But yeah, so no, I'm not really looking forward to it in a positive mindset. But no, there you go. I gave you my score prediction now, and now you see why I try and avoid them every week, because I don't like giving them, because I never think we usually do all that well. But no, there you go. Right now, we can leave it and we can sign off. Let us know any of your score predictions or your preferred 11s in the comments below. Maybe you want to write about the game before or after. We'll leave a link to the website in the description, so maybe you can do just that. This has been Nodge Spotlight on the My Football Writer YouTube channel. I have been Freddie Humphrey Wakefield. He has been Will Grant. It's goodbye for now. I will see you in the next video of ours.